Yes, this is the Olympic and Powerlifting Program, Phase 2, Session 2. I'm assuming that you've already gone through Session 1 here, that you've already gone through Phase 1, so you should kind of know what's going on. You definitely want to start there. You actually want to start the intro video, because that's what will explain the concepts of this program, and also how the sets and reps and the progressions flow. On this video, I'm just going to talk about the exercises themselves and how to perform them. So, beginning with a foam roller, this is a massage modality, and we already talked about this in Phase 1. But making sure that this is a really important part of the program to maintain your pliability here, and keeping your mobility, helping you recover. It has a lot of benefits. You're really going to need to attack your hips. You need to go onto your upper back. You can make this rolling motion from pec over to shoulder, because this is an area that's going to be at really a lot of work while doing your overhead motions. You can flip around and get your quads, and also from some of the cardio stuff, from some of the running, we need to make sure that we're keeping our lower legs healthy, and you can do this sort of rolling back and forth type of motion on your lower legs. Good? We'll go next to a low squat hold. So all you're going to do here is just drop into your squat, and you'll hold this position for the set amount of time. Just really working on being active with your abdominals, with your shoulder blades, feeling like you're getting a stretch on your ankles. You're keeping your legs, your knees out from not collapsing in, and don't let yourself fall onto your toes. Keep your heels down. A lateral lunge hold is next. So here I'm just going to step out to one side, load all of my weight onto one leg while the other leg stays extended out. I'll feel this stretch on the extended leg while I'm really working my quad and the outside of my hip on the other leg. And from this angle, you can see my torso angle. So I send the hips back, let the shoulders come forward, which will angle the torso. And that's where I want to be for that. A bar hang, kip, iso holds. So what I mean by here, kipping is a gymnastics technique where you generate momentum with both your upper and lower body while you're hanging on the bar. So I'm going to be working the hollow position, where I'm thinking about pulling down, pulling my head through my arms while pointing the toes, extending the hips, and flexing the abdominals. So I'm going to hold up on the rings in sort of that position for the set amount of time, and then I'm going to do the opposite of that, where I pull the shoulder blades together, pull the head in front of the arms, and then flex my hips and squeeze my hips back. Now these rings, I would much prefer to do this exercise on a bar, on a pull-up bar, and I don't have a pull-up bar in here, so I'm just going to demo on the rings, and it works pretty similarly. Okay, so I'm going to get my hollow hold first. You see from this angle, I pull my head back and I have my legs extended forward. Tough position to hold, but try to get strong in that way. And then the opposite, I'm going to arch. You can see from this angle, I'm arching my back. I'm pulling my head through, squeezing the shoulder blades together, and I'm flexing my hips. Great. Next, I'll do a lunge hold. So I'm just going to step forward into a lunge, and hover right here where my back knee is just hovering right above the ground. Stretching the hip flexor in the back leg, flexing the the glute in the front leg. And you really want to feel like on this exercise you're loading your glutes, not just loading your knee. Okay, so when I step forward, I don't want to have the knee shooting too far forward. I don't want the shoulders back. I actually want the shoulders so that they're a little bit behind the knee, but pretty close. Actually, my shoulders are directly over my heel there, and that's going to allow me to be in a stronger position, better position for my knee, and you'll have success with that one. Mountain climber and rotate. So I'll just come down into this. This is the mountain climber position where the palms are down, the front toe is even with the palms, and then the back leg is straight back. Now from here, I'm going to take my inside arm, the arm closest to my front leg, and I'm going to reach it up in the air. I'm going to turn my shoulders and look my eyes up at the ceiling when I do this stretch. Really good for the hip flexor and for your thoracic spine mobility. And then the last warm-up one, I'll do some jump rope. I'll do one leg alternating jump ropes, or running style jump ropes. Yep, and I'm just gonna come here, left, right, left, right, left, right. Keeping the rope, this is all you need to do as far as getting momentum on the rope. See this, it's just this little bit of shake of the elbow and the wrist. And then I gotta have that moment of balance and be able to transfer my weight from side to side. And I'm contacting with the ball of the foot. That's what's gonna be contacting the ground. All right, we're ready to move on to the strength next. And we're gonna start today with back squats. And so I definitely wanna take my back squats from a weight rack. I don't have a weight rack in here, but you can imagine that I do. So I get it set up on the rack so it's just below my shoulders, and then I'll swoop my head underneath it, and I'll take it off of the rack, take it a couple steps back, and here I'm ready to start my back squats. And now, with your back squats, bar positioning on the back is really the first thing you need to think about, and you want it to be not too high, not too low. Now, there's Olympic style back squats and there's powerlifting style back squats. Generally on a powerlifting style back squat, you would want the bar to be a little bit lower on your center of mass. Some guys like to have their arms out wide when they're doing powerlifting. Some guys like to have their feet out wide when they're powerlifting. Olympic lifting guys like to have the bar real high and they like to stay more upright. So for this program, what I'm going to have you do is kind of a fusion of the two. So I don't want the bar on the back too low or too high, and I don't want the feet much wider than you're going to do for your front squat. Maybe slightly wider than that, but I'm going to have a middle ground here for this squat. So I'm kind of able to work on both at the same time. Okay, so now from here, I'm going to set my heels down, make sure I got the weight in the heels, and then I think of this in 3 parts. Well, first is your setup. So I got to pull the bar back so that I'm flexing my pecs and I'm flexing my upper back muscles. And then I'm bracing my abdominals, pushing the abs out to stabilize my lower abdominals. And then I'll begin my descent. I'll send the hips back, let the shoulders come forward a little bit, and then I'll start to bend the knees and drop in low. I want the crease of the hip to go below the knee, and then I'll drive through the heels out of the bottom. Send the hips back, and then drive out. And if you can practice getting that little bit of spring out of the bottom, that's really going to help you in trying to be consistent as you come down under control, but then try to drive out of the bottom. That's your back squat. Incline bench press next. And yeah, you want to use a proper incline bench. I don't have one in here, so I'm just going to show you on a Bosu ball just so you can see what the mechanics are. And I would not advise that you do the exercise this way. I'm just going to show you how the mechanics are meant to be. So incline bench press, you're going to be basically, it's a little bit tougher because you have to go through a fuller range of motion. Your elbows are going to drop down further in order for the bar to meet your chest. And the bar is going to be touching your chest a little bit higher than it would for your regular bench press. Regular bench press, you're touching below your chest, and on an incline bench press, you're going to touch in the middle of your chest. So and it feels a little bit different at first. So when I set up here, I'm going to have the bar, I want to make sure that the bar is directly over my shoulder. My arm is completely vertical. And then from here, I'm going to have a slight angle down so that I'm touching down, and I need to be able to touch down to my chest every time, and then go back straight over my shoulders and repeat that motion. You want to be active through your whole body on this one, so you need to anchor your heels down onto the ground, and you're driving your heels forward so it flexes your leg. It helps stabilize your abdominals, which will help stabilize your shoulders, which will give you bigger lifts and you'll be more efficient with the lift. And then the other part of it is when you're coming down, since it is further range of motion to go, you just want to make sure that you don't let the weight come down too far, because then like pushing your shoulder from here is not very efficient. But also, I think even more commonly, the mistake made is that we go too high and we end up here. It might feel stronger and more stable at first, but ultimately, if you can shift your arms down here, you're going to be able to get your lats more involved in the exercise. And if you can train yourself in that way, you're going to ultimately be able to do more weight. And it'll feel better for your shoulder as well. Okay, next, we're moving on to strict pull-ups. And again, I'd probably prefer to go on a pull-up bar here, but since I don't have that, I can do it on the rings, and it's just the same thing. If you're on the pull-up bar, you can play with your grip a little bit. Generally, you want to make sure that you're strong with an overhand grip, with your hands slightly wider than your shoulders. You also want to make sure that you can do well with underhand grip and train your underhand grip. And when you're underhand, you're going to have your wrists at the same width as your shoulders. You can also play with going a little bit wider with an overhand, and you can also, some places you can do a neutral grip. Do all of them. They're all good. And from the rings kind of dictate where you're going to be. But in all cases, you want to think about your posture on this one. You want to flex through your legs so your legs are engaged. If you're not engaged here, your legs are just going to be dead weight and it's going to be harder. But if you're active there, you're going to be more efficient. Brace your abdominals and keep your shoulders pulled down. The pull initially what happens is your elbows are going to come in front of your head. Your head's going to go behind your elbows, and then you're going to come to here, and you want your palm to go below your chin, at least. And even if you can get this extra little bit of pull, that's even better. So we're starting from a dead hang every time. Arms completely over the shoulders, and then pulling up, and then trying again, coming to a complete rest on every one of them. And now if you need assistance with this, they have the pull-up assisted machines. You can also use a band and wrap your band up around your pull-up bar, and this can give you assistance. Another option is for you to have a partner give you a little bit of boost from the waist. But you just want to pick a level of resistance where you can do all of the repetitions in that fashion. And then the other mistake that tends to happen is people will arch their back. Try not to arch your back when you're pulling up. Try to stay disciplined with this. This is the hollow position of your abdominals. Okay, lateral step and press is next. So for this one, I think the best way to do this is just with a plate. A 10-pound plate up to a 25-pound plate. And I'm going to start with the weight in at my waist, athletic stance with the feet together. And then I'm going to step out and press out, and then step my feet back in and bring the weight back in. Then I'll go the other direction with it. I'll step out, press out, step in, and bring it back in. And then I can kind of flow through this. I want to get full extension of my arm each time. And that's a really good core coordination exercise. And then the last one for today is a cable chest squeeze. Now, I don't have a cable machine in here, but if I did, that would be even better than what I'm going to do. But I can also use a band for this exercise. Now, if I had the cable, ideally you have it on both sides, where you can set it up on both sides. And then what you would do is you would step through, let it pull you back a little bit. Make sure that you're setting it up at hip level or lower, and then you just squeeze through right here, letting your chest open up fully every time and then closing down. And I can do the same kind of idea with my band. Here, I'll just loop it through here, and then I'm going to step through, let it pull me back, and then overcome that resistance as I sweep the arms forward. Notice that the elbows stay straight and I'm sweeping through. Also notice that I am doing a split stance, so I step 1 foot forward and make sure to do equal work on both sides. Okay, that's it for the strength for phase 2, session 2. You next want to go on to your cardio. I talk about the cardio in another video.